Important matter on the parliamentary calendar before us, regarding which a constitutional function must also be performed by this Honorable House. I don't think any of us will want this House to be associated with taking this imperative function lightly. I'll suspend sitting and meet with the leaders, because I believe we all agree that this is not good enough. And I'm glad there is no one rising in defense of what is manifestly facing us. We shall have a little meeting, and honorable members, if you will accommodate us, will come and sit back at the hour of 11:30. I thank you very much for your indulgence.
So that's what the speaker said. You know, members of parliament just absenting themselves. Well, it's going to be a focus of our conversation. Of course, before we take leave from the conversation, we'll touch base with the yes and no debate, referendum, December 17 it is. But let me just introduce my guests. Earlier we told you who will be coming, and rightly they are seated just by me. Roxanne Nelson, Dafeamekpor, legal practitioner, member of parliament for South Dying, right here. How are you, sir?
Well, I'm tired, but...
Yeah, I know, right? The work has to continue.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how it is. And I have Bernard Mona here, long-standing friend, known him through the profession or my professional life. He's still standing now, national chairman for the People's National Convention. Bernard Mona, I think about, just from over the weekend, I saw you in a story, was it on Monday? You were with Rashid Pelpo. Where was that?
Damba Festival.
Okay, no. It was at an NGO event, I think.
Okay, that was
last week?
Breast cancer.
Okay.
Event,
Okay.
You know, we went to check.
Okay.
To be sure that
you went to check.
That's a story has been filed late then.
In what
okay.
We had to be introduced as, you know, we have to check our wives and then to be sure.
So you are now learning the skills of
yes,
how to check.
Oh, yes, massaging and touching.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should come. I will give you some tutorials.
As to
how to handle them. It's not just going to be holding them rough like that. There is a special way you have to take your hand through.
Yeah.
You have to lift your...
You should have followed me. You should have followed me throughout the month of October.
We're doing. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're doing breast cancer awareness month, and every Thursday we're doing some great education. We did how to test your look at all the signs.
I'm sure this story should have come from the Upper West region.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I was there. Wiala was there. Some other artists.
Oh, Wiala. Okay. Yeah.
Fantastic young lady.
Yeah. She is very forceful.
And we did some dancing together.
That was a great one.
You didn't practice?
No. I wanted to, but
she declined.
No, she had to run for another event.
Okay, guys. Now let's focus on the conversation. And since you're a member of parliament, the concerns that not only raised by the speaker but also the leadership of parliament is genuine. It talks a lot about absenteeism, but more so manipulation of apparently the lists of attendees is a concern that we should all have. How is that a growing phenomenon in the House?
Well, customarily, let me use the opportunity to say good morning to my constituents in Peki, Bali, Bevetongo, and to your viewers. This is in my third year in Parliament, and having studied out the procedures and the practices and conventions I believe what happened yesterday, I was there. I think let's be fair. From when the budget was presented, and the workshops that, post-budget workshop that we had over the weekend to prepare members to be able to debate the policy and the opinions of the budget before the components are referred to the relevant committees for us to consider the estimates that will come from the agencies. From Monday, the majority have not been, for lack of a better expression, have not been enthused about their own budget. Even people like me complain. So you see,
what do you mean? What do you mean by they've not been enthused about their own budget and the content?
HITA too. In fact, last year they were very enthused about debating. So they are turning their numbers. So when this matter broke yesterday, and we discovered in the media that they were using the same brush to smear all of us, our leader had to issue a statement.
That's a minority leader.
Haruna Idrisu had to issue a statement that no, the problem is with the people whose budget it is, who have failed to attend to debate the matter. And let me refer to Article 102 of the Constitution. It talks about quorum of Parliament, which shall consist of 1/3 of the membership of Parliament. So anytime we raise an issue of quorum, there has to be 1/3 minus the person presiding. And if you look at the images from Monday, the first day of the debate, the majority members, they rarely attend in their numbers.
And you are construing that to mean that it's an advertent posture by the majority in reaction to their own reaction towards the content of the budget.
Yes,
that their side.
It is your budget. It is your financial policy.
Yeah, we do understand
you
that.
Must be
but
interested.
your interpretation of the actions,
Yes.
which invariably is the absence
Yes.
physically of the members of the majority in the House,
Yes.
to mean that they may have some connotations and they are exerting and also expressing that in the absence. Is that what you mean?
We are asking questions.
How did you draw that inference?
No, I didn't say that. We are only asking the minority members.
That is it.
Why is it that your own budget, your own financial policy statement, business of government, your own members are disinterested in participating in debates?
But that's why I'm asking you, why do you use such words or construe that to mean that they are disinterested just because physically they are absent within a certain point in time?
If you are interested, nothing should take you away from Parliament, especially when we are debating the policy and the opinions of your election year budget. But that is by the side. The other issue that affects attendance or the numbers in Parliament is that there are a lot of committee meetings sometimes that conflict with sitting. And for instance, I have been one of the persons who have complained about the fact that committee meetings must not be conflicting with sitting at plenary.
What do you mean by that?
Sitting
so at
plenary,
which point in time within the week do you want committee sittings to be convened?
Hold on. Parliament sits from between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. officially. If there's enough business, we extend sitting. We go beyond 2 p.m. So my position has always been that if there's any committee business to be done, we could do so between 8 to 10 or 8 to 9:45 in the morning or after 2 p.m. Because when we adjourn for the day, we go back to our offices and do a lot of look. If you don't read, you can't appreciate what happens in Parliament. So a lot of us go back to read. It is only when you read that you discover things, flaws, errors in documents. If you don't read them, the devil is in the details. You understand? So a lot of us go back to read. And so, for instance, I have said that if we have committee meetings, the time for the meeting should be fixed after 2 p.m. But if you fix a committee meeting for 11 a.m., 12 midday, when plenary is in session, and you're also supposed to participate actively at the committee deliberations. And that is where a lot of the deliberations actually go on, because when the reports come, leadership even determine who and who should debate the report. before a resolution is passed. Otherwise, then the business of the House will be slow. If they have to allow 106 from our side, 169 from the other side to debate a report. So there's a structured way of handling committee report. So if you really want to make an input, you do so, you are given enough time at committee level. And so naturally, you cannot be present at plenary before the cameras and still be present at committee level, which is often held in camera, outside of the views of the camera.
But it can be that for all those who have their seats empty when the plenary is in session, may have been absent because they're attending a committee meeting somewhere, or any other urgent parliamentary business.
Yes, if you recall that Speaker had to refer to the order paper for the day and found out how many committee sittings have been advertised.
Yes, yes.
Do you know that he did that? Just to justify the fact that he only had about 2 or 3 committee sittings advertised. And so if you do the computation, a committee of about 25, so let's say 50 people are away. It still doesn't justify, what happened in Parliament yesterday. So I think we should carefully look at the issues and look at the timing of when plenary business has to be conducted, that so that it doesn't conflict with other businesses, other equally important businesses of Parliament that have the tendency of taking away members, from plenary.
Yeah, and Mr. Mona, it definitely can be that we've elected representatives, and some of the reasons why they're given is because we have committee meetings and other urgent parliamentary business, and so for the plenary sessions they are usually absent because we want to exert more from them, get more output from them than what they've been showing so far. It looks like it's been a trend. What's your own observation on these matters?
Well, my brother would do what he has just done, trying to justify the absenteeism in Parliament on the fact that there are committee meetings, and that has taken a lot of their membership away from the core business of the House. I think otherwise. One of the major banes of our parliamentary success has been that you have a constitution that allows you to appoint a chunk of ministers from amongst parliamentarians. So there is conflict of duty as to whether they should be at the ministry or they should be in Parliament to do their jobs. And so therefore, anyone that is appointed a minister and given the humongous numbers that we have as ministers, it's obvious that a chunk of them are MPs and of course deputy MPs. Some of them are even board chairmen, and therefore they have to leave for the various institutions or departments that they superintend. You don't expect the House to be full. Some of them are even regional ministers. You have an MP who is a regional minister, and the region, there is no direct flight, for instance, coming to Accra. So even if there is an emergency, it is difficult for the MP minister to travel all the way to Accra to come and occasion a debate or whatever. So it's obvious that by our own constitutional structure, there is a difficulty in terms of attendance in Parliament because you have to be at the ministry. And so, should I start counting Isaac Esiaman, Solomon Bua, Kofi Ada, Titus Glover.
Who was at the Dubai air show?
You understand?
So definitely.
So you can count. And you see that where do they place premium? Should they be at the ministry to be able to see to the day-to-day administration of the business, or they should go to Parliament to see to the full implementation and debate of issues? So when you take the chunk of ministers and deputy ministers, and my friend Collinson Tim and all those people, they are all in Parliament at the same time. They are ministers. Obi Amwa. The list is endless. In fact, if you go to the Ministry of Local Government, for instance, it appears that everybody there is an MP. Not so. Everybody as a minister is an MP. So from the minister to the deputies, 3 deputies, I guess, all of them are MPs. So how do you expect them to be in parliament, to even contribute to debate, particularly on their sectors, if there are other important and compelling things that they have planned as ministers on their way? So obviously, you will not be able to have the attendance. Is it any wonder that you see that the minority are in full supply in parliament? No. Because the minority, none of them is appointed a minister. None of them is appointed into the board. So they will be available. The third important thing that all of us must know is that, look, the members of parliament feel that being a minister is far superior than being a member of parliament. Members of parliament have to be moving from one corridor to the other, looking for projects for their constituents, because if you don't lobby and go and see the ministers in camera, sometimes have that rapport with them, certain development that are even meant for you will not come. So if you want to retain your seat, you have to go around the corridors and start knocking at the doors of ministers, departments, CEOs.
That's what they call lobbying.
Yeah, so that they can get this development for you. So if Mr. Speaker wants to know why there is poor attendance, he should really lay his mind back on these very important things that I've mentioned. Otherwise, the next parliament will be confronted with the same issues.
And one person who's institutional also, and his own work has been able to track or study what the phenomenon has been in the Fourth Republic in relation to the subject is Dr. Rashid Draman. He is the Executive Director for the African Center for Parliamentary Affairs. We're streaming him into the studio through Skype. And good morning to you, Dr. Draman. But more so, the phenomenon cannot be only attributed to maybe committee sittings or because we have a chunk of them per what the Constitution dictates of those who should occupy executive office and at the same time being parliamentarians.
Let me
before he comes in, no, you wait. Hold on to what you want to say. So it can't be only that, Dr. Rashid Draman. What's your own observation so far? And you've made great commentary on the subject.
Yes, I think it can't not be the only reason. I think that's part of the reason. I heard Mr. Mona talk about the fusion that we have in the political arrangement, where members are at the same time ministers and so on. That's part of the reason. And I say this because, you know, we have systems, I mean, in countries like the UK, in Canada, in New Zealand, I mean, typical Westminster parliamentary systems where all ministers are members of parliament, even including the prime minister. Yet, I think they have arrangements made such that members of parliament are able to attend to parliament. So for me, I think that argument is just only part of the problem. You know, if you look at the rules very carefully, I think the law and the rules that we have governing presence and absence in parliament give a very generous leeway to members of parliament. And I think that members are capitalizing on this. He says, before any sanctions could be taken against you, you have to be absent 15 times or more without permission. I think for an institution like Parliament, giving members such a very generous leeway would continue to give us the problems that we face in our country. Over and over and over, I think even in the 6th Parliament, the Right Honorable Doajaho, many times on this your network as well as on other networks, we had the occasion to comment on this issue. In this 7th Parliament, I can't not even count the number of times we have commented on this issue. So for me, I think the Right Honorable Speaker, the leadership of Parliament, I think they must be very, very firm. And they must make a scapegoat of a few MPs by making sure that people are expelled from Parliament. Otherwise, otherwise, Roland, I think we'll continue to talk about this. I mean, in the 8th Parliament, in the 9th Parliament.
By expulsion, what exactly do you mean? Because I'm asking this knowing that there are laid down procedures and rules, if not laws, stated by our Constitution, by which members have been elected. And if you want to oust them from that position, then you also need to follow laid down rules and procedures to say that you have to expel them.
Yes, but I think Article 97(1)(c) of our Constitution is, sorry, it's not 97(1). 97(1)(c) talks about the numbers that we need to form a quorum. But there's another article, I can't remember exactly, which talks about, you know, if you absent yourself, I mean, this number of times without any permission, then you will be expelled from Parliament. Whatever the processes and procedures, I think some example will need to be made of some MPs. You know, Roland, if you look at what happens in other countries, I'm currently in Burkina Faso. You know, in Parliament here in Burkina Faso, every single day before the plenary starts, there's a roll call of every single member of Parliament, including the Speaker of Parliament, to respond, yes, I am present, or I am absent. And if the person is absent, he or she would have given a reason why he or she is absent. We heard yesterday from the second Deputy Speaker, members of Parliament, he said, go and sign that they are present, yet they are not in the House. I mean, I want you to ask that honorable member, I don't know his name because I joined the show. So I want you to pose that question to him. Okay, I mean, what does that constitute?
Okay, we have Roxanne Nelson Dafeamekpor, Member of Parliament for South Dine.
Yes. So what does that constitute? That we have people that we call honorable, we give them a title honorable, and we all look up to them. They are our role models, and we also clothe them with the powers and the moral authority to hold people in the country to account for how they conduct themselves, whether financially, administratively, or otherwise. Yet, we see them showing examples that are not very glamorous. I think that is very, very disturbing, Roland. And going back to the issue of the fusion between the executive and the legislature, we only need 95 members of Parliament out of the 275 to form a quorum for parliamentary business to continue. Take out all the ministers, even if we take out all the 110 ministers, assuming all of them are members of Parliament, I think we should still have 95 in the House and to conduct the business of the House at all times.
That is assuming that for committee work or meetings, if we have at least two, just like yesterday, if you look at the order paper as it was, there's supposed to be 2 committee meetings, and in some, that would be around 50. You add that to it, to that 110.
But Roland, that's again a big question to the leadership of Parliament.
Yeah.
We are in the budget session. This is the one time that every single member of Parliament has to be in the House.
Yeah.
Because this is one ritual that every Parliament in the world performs every year. Why would you schedule, or why would you allow committee meetings to be scheduled at a time when this serious parliamentary business is taking place? Okay. I think that's a question for the leaders to answer.
I do understand from my producers that you have to go for a meeting, but I would, again, crave your indulgence. Just hold on for 5 more minutes for us so that you can contribute to this debate.